Why hello there, Exile. I'm sure by now you've all heard about stat stackers. There's monks with freaking laser beams coming out of their stabs. If you've been following the channel for a while, you probably already know that I love me some fat stacks. Stat stackers, also known as attribute stackers, are characters where you are focusing on getting as much of the base attributes strength, dex, and int as you can. Strength gives you flat life, int gives you flat mana, both of which can be used as part of your health pool. So you already have good defenses going. Then you can get some damage scaling going with Pillar of the Cage God or HOWA gloves. But these HOWA gloves are about 7 divines. They go up periodically to about 10 divines. So I've been asked several times, do we actually need the gloves to get going? So today I attempted to put together a reasonably solid character that can complete T15s without an issue with no HOWA. My main rule for this was don't spend more than 10 exalted orbs on a single piece of gear, and this whole character ended up costing less than 2 divines. For this character, I chose to focus mainly on freeze buildup so that I could just palm into them and then explode the freeze with a quick attack, and it's like kind of like a mini flicker thing we got going on here. Plus, you can just freeze lock the boss, and then it, everything's okay. The boss can't hit you if it's frozen. So, turned out pretty good. In fact, it actually turned out better than my original character before I started stat stacking that I completed the whole Atlas with and got my bonus points with. So, it's not a bad character. Not a bad character at all. After we finish rolling this footage here, then I'm going to explain to you what exactly I was buying, what filters I use, my whole reasoning behind the character. We're going to go over the skill tree really quickly, how monks work really quickly, and then, wrap it up home for dinner. Now, I've really been enjoying this game so far, especially the leveling experience is really cool. I think the end game needs a little bit of work here. I'm not the biggest fan of these, like, one try maps, maybe 3 tries, maybe. Especially grinding for some of the end game content. Going in there, they have one-shot mechanics. You've never seen them before. You get one tapped, and then it's just like, oh, well, there goes my set. I guess I'm grinding out a whole nother set just to be able to do it again. Not a good feeling, but, I guess they're going with the bold thing. It's still in early access. I'm sure enough people are going to complain about that, and they're going to change it. It definitely makes sense, I think, in the campaign. But when you're spending a ton of money to go fight a boss and then get one tap if you want to do it blind, it just is not a good feeling. It ain't it, Chief. It ain't it, Chief. So I'm sure they'll reconsider on that. I'm sure a lot of this stuff is getting nerfed into the ground too. There's no way that they intended on it with the speed of the game. It doesn't fit. Okay, so we're finally at the boss fight. So I am running enfeeble here, and since I have a little bit of fizz mitigation, I can kind of just tank whatever he's throwing down. We're gonna freeze him. Okay, we got our freeze. We put down our bell. Now we're gonna put our laser beam, drop another bell, and bada bing, bada boom, he's dead. Now I'm gonna shoot some laser beams at you. Pew, 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 pew. Okay, let's start by teaching you a little bit about filters. So you can do the squiggle key and then start typing part of it. So you can go like resist and start typing it. It's going to filter on this word. You could do like parts of the word in a different order, and it's going to filter for you. Squiggly, really, really important. Then what you need to know is there's different stat groups. So and means give me all of those. Count means give me X number, where you put the number in the count. So we can go squiggly light, squiggly cold, squiggly fire, and then we can go count 1, and that'll give us either lightning, cold, or fire on the item. Then we can go a different stat group with an and we could say life, we could say mana, and then this would give us an item with life and mana and 1 resist on it. So we're building complicated filters here so that we could find the exact items that we're looking for. For our weapon, this 10% increased weapon damage per 5 strength actually applies to runes that you sock it in and the corruption. So what we're going to be looking for is a weapon that's corrupted with one type of elemental damage and has 2 sockets in it because you can't add sockets afterwards. The other thing we want to check is the damage range. And if we mouse over here, we can see it goes 20 to 31. So this is a pretty high roll. I think I'm going to buy that one for 6, but I'm going to look for a cold damage one. Yeah, let's go with the 6 on the fire damage. And then we're going to put 2 cold runes in there. Here we're onto the boots, and I went through a 3 filter, so you could do different groups and count each of the groups. So it'll say, give me this many from this group, then this many from this group, then this many from this group. So the first group is it must have those things, then each of the stats. So right here, I'm just looking to fill out some of my resists and hopefully get either strength or dex. Remember, strength is scaling your weapon damage, and actually runes and the corruption both apply for that scaling from strength. So strength, really good stat. Dex is giving us attack speed with the stat. Now, since we reduced our movement speed down to 20, we were able to get life, mana, 2 resists, and 1 attribute all in our boots. Now, when we're using the HOWA, we're getting a ton of flat damage from our gloves. So we're basically doing a filter where we're trying to get 3 high damage rolls of flat damage to attacks on our gloves. A high life roll, maybe I'd be willing to do it with 2 good rolls. We'll see what's out there. Okay, these have like 80 max damage on it. Okay, these are pretty high damage. I think we got a winner, hopefully, here. Yep. Cost the full 10, but it is what it is. So that's some pretty nice damages. Now for rings here, I'm looking for, once again, flat damage on it because it's the only other place we could get our flat damage. And then I want something with a good implicit. So I either want resist or I want something that I could quality up, because if you can get 50% quality on some high attack damages, it's going to add a ton of damage. Okay, so these are actually looking pretty good. I'm just mousing over here to see the ranges. Ooh, 3. And it already has a little bit of quality. This looks like a juicy one. And crap, while I'm editing this together, I just realized that I actually misrecorded this, and I paid 15 for this ring and kind of blew the whole challenge. So I guess I cheated. Sorry, guys, but it was a good deal, and I guess I forgot what the challenge was. Here's the other ring that we got. Okay, our resist, while we are lacking cold res, our damage number is going up because we got the main things. Now for Amulet, we want max life and then a bunch of stats. We want dex and strength more than we want int, but int is increased AoE, so strength, dex, all attributes would be the dream. Okay, we're going to go with this one. It is life, mana, all attributes, dex, int, with an implicit dex. Even though it doesn't have strength, it does have a lot of all attributes, so I'm happy with that. Then we're going to buy some catalysts here. Yes, it's in the spreadsheet, okay. And we're going to catalyst that up to 20. It's looking pretty good. Then we need to catalyst our rings. I'm going to go ahead and anoint this. This is 10% of life taken as mana first. I have that plus 3 other nodes, so I'll be at 26% of life taken as mana. For belt, we're looking for high life and then 2 really high resists, or potentially 3 resists, and then strength on top of that. So 2 resist strength or 3 resists. For body, we're looking for a decent evasion number, and then we're looking for a resist on it. Okay, let's slam this with 2 exalts and hope for some big money. There was, in fact, no big money. Okay, we need a ton of resists on our helm because we are low on resist. So this one has cold, lightning, chaos, and then good life and energy shield. So we're going to go with that one. And then we're pretty much going to just have to put runes and everything to get our resists up, and then maybe even get some jewels to fill in the resists. So that's what we're going to do here. We're pretty close on fire now. That puts us overcapped. Here is a full picture of what all my gear looks like. And here are the jewels that I bought. I had to buy one that had lightning res. Otherwise, I was mostly going for a freeze buildup. Then I wanted some with life gained on kill, some with mana gained on kill. So we have 2% mana gain on kill, 3% life gained on kill, 5% lightning res, and then a bunch of freeze buildup just about on every other jewel. Okay, we put together this little infograph of what I'm playing. So my main thing is Ice Strike with Martial Temple. That makes it faster. Ice Bite, so when I freeze something, I get more cold damage. Primal Armament gives me more elemental damage. Then I have Charged Staff with Calling Strikes, so I call rares and uniques. Electrocute, because we want that extra element for our bell. Every element that we have on our bell increases the damage. It's a more multiplier to the bell. And then Persistence. That makes it last longer. Then for Shattering Palm, Blind and Maim, because the pulse that will go out from it will both blind and maim. And both of those make it easier to hit your targets and also makes it so that it's harder for them to hit you and makes your evasion more effective. Then we have Herald of Ice with Magnified Effect and Innervate. That's because we have so much flat lightning damage that we're going to shock when we crit with Herald of Ice, and then that's auto going to apply a lightning damage more multiplier to all our other damage. Then the main way that we are getting power charges for our charge staff is Combat Frenzy, and then there's a node in the tree that we're getting, and it changes Frenzy charges into power charges. So with Freeze and Electrocute and Combat Frenzy is how we're doing that. Then we have Tempest Bell and Execute, so more damage when they're lower, Overabundance, which means you'll be able to keep getting more combo stack up. So when you're attacking with a strike skill or your basic attack, you get combo, and that's how you're putting down the bell. And then Close Combat, more damage because we're dropping the bell right on top of them. It's more damage for close range. And then Ghost Dance, that's we're getting a little bit of energy shield back whenever we're getting hit based on our evasion. And then I went with Enfeeble and a Blasphemy with Ritualistic Curse, which helps us from getting one shot when we're trying to get to the point where we're freezing the rares or freezing the bosses. And then we have Wind Dancer, which will do an AoE knockback when they hit us and get through our evasion. It also gives us more evasion, which helps with our Ascendancy because we also get armor, well, the effect of armor from our evasion. Let's take a look at the skill tree. So we went with Lead Me from Grace on our Ascendancy, and Protect Me from Harm, and then this for extra cold damage. Chilled Zones when you're freezing things, it's good for slowing enemies. We went through here for some attack damage and some speed, some crit here. You could drop these three if you're lower on points. I reduced this down to an 83 skill point tree. See, I have 7 points here, so I'm level 90. This is the node that makes it when we're freezing things or electrocuting that it changes it into power charges for our charge staff. We're grabbing these because they're giving us flat stats plus crit. And these are just good nodes for flat damage, which we're severely lacking on. That's what this area does too, and this little area. Now, the reason why we spec'd really heavily into the freeze is for this node right here, because it makes all of our different damage types ignore elemental resist when things are frozen. We're able to freeze rares really easily, and as you saw there, we're also able to freeze bosses really easily. This is to get some of that mind over matter, and remember we anointed this node all the way over here with that 10%. So we're getting 26% of our life first taken into our mana. So there's like extra health pool here. Then we grab these nodes so that we're getting a little bit of extra energy shield from our chest. So if we take this off, see it's increasing by 200 energy shield. Then we went here, and these are more freeze nodes. And then these are some evasion nodes. And then very important node here. This is giving us extra attack speed for Dex. This is some flat damage while we're wearing a Herald. And then an extra 50% cold damage while we have Herald of Ice. And then these are crit nodes that also have attributes. That's why we chose that. And we're going all the way down here to the star so that we can get 10% increased attributes and this 2% damage for 5 of your lowest attribute, and then just a ton of all attributes. So pretty standard tree for what people are going, I think. Even pretty standard for what people are going when they're not playing a stat stacker, except for they're not coming over to here. Overall, we came in with 46k DPS on our Ice Strike, but this doesn't really do it justice. We're attacking 7.46 attacks per second. When we have this out, then we're doing 2 attacks, one from Ice Strike, one from Charge Staff. And then this bell can be hit 17 times. So we're almost doing all 17 hits within 1 second when we drop the bell and have Ice Strike and Charge Staff. So that's 17 hits times this shockwave damage. Pretty good damage.